Hello and welcome to Greatness Radio. I am your host, Monica Carter Tagore, bringing you information, inspiration, and occasionally even interviews to help you show up at your best. When you've made the decision to go for your own greatness, this is the place to be. Let's get to it. People sometimes ask me, what's all this about, this greatness that you talk of? And I must admit, I've been writing and speaking on greatness for a while now, and it still causes people a bit of pause sometimes. In fact, when I started doing this work in greatness, I had someone to say, well, you know, not everybody is about greatness. They may want to be more in line with their spiritual teachings or their callings, and I totally get where this person's coming from. I totally understand what this person was thinking, but this is it. I believe greatness is a spiritual calling. I believe greatness is a spiritual calling because I believe that God calls us to a life of greatness. I believe life is calling us to greatness, and that is because greatness is about something that resonates deep inside of you. It's about what you feel called, what you feel compelled, what you feel purposed to do. Greatness, according to my definition, is about that best and highest expression of who you truly are. So why would you not be called to your best? Why would you not be called to the highest expression of who you are? Why would that somehow be counter to? Why would that be opposite to? Why would that be different from what you feel your spiritual teaching is, your spiritual calling is? In essence, our spiritual path has to lead us through greatness in some way. Because again, when I talk of greatness, I'm talking about that best and that highest expression of who you truly are. So that means looking deep inside to see, who are you at the core? And at the core, you are a spiritual being. So letting that shine forth, letting that come out, letting that show up in the world. And another reason I think that greatness sometimes maybe rankles people, or maybe it rubs them just a little bit of the wrong way, is that they think when I am talking about greatness, setting your greatness on fire, being great, I'm talking about grandiosity. I'm talking about being a braggart. I'm talking about someone who has a huge ego. And, well, that, of course, can rub people the wrong way. But, you know, when I'm talking about greatness, I am talking about your best and your highest. I am talking about standing out, standing up, standing above the average, the mediocre, the basic, the common, the ordinary, everyday existences that you see all around you. And, well, if you happen to have an ego, I think that's okay. It's good to have healthy self-esteem. It's good to feel self-worth. It's good to know that you are enough, that you are worthy, that you are doing something to be celebrated. So I don't see ego as a bad or negative thing. And in fact, when you are pursuing your greatness, when you're setting your greatness on fire, when you are living in a great way, why would you not feel good about that? So as we go through these podcasts, let's really look at what greatness means for us. Let's look at what greatness means in our lives, and let's dispel all of the preconceived notions, that are wrapped in negativity on the subject of greatness. Greatness doesn't have to be something unattainable to you. Greatness doesn't have to be something that only braggarts aspire to. It doesn't have to be something that only people with grandiose dreams aspire to. It doesn't have to be something that only people with huge, oversized egos aspire to. Greatness is something that, as I said, I believe life calls us all to. Unfortunately, most won't actually attain it, though, for possibly the reasons we've just talked about, those negative ideas we have about greatness. But look, I want to challenge you today to think about how greatness can show up in your own life. What would it mean for you if you were to be at your best? What would it mean for you if you were to show up as that highest form of who you are. What would that look like in your life? What would it mean for you? How would you do things differently? And we'll talk about some other ideas about what this actually means as we go through the podcast. But I just want you today to really think about, what would greatness mean in your life today? If you were to strive for your best and your highest expression of who you are, what would you do differently? How would you show up in a different way? And if life is calling you to greatness, if you refuse to answer that calling, what does that mean for your life? Are you leaving some of your best experiences untapped, unattempted? Are there things that you would not even be considering in your life because you refuse to go for your own greatness? Are there things that you would somehow not think that you would be able to experience, you would be able to do, you would be able to have, you would be able to be, because you didn't go for your greatness? In other words, would you be shortchanging yourself if you did not go for your greatness? If you chose to muddle along in the common, the average, the ordinary, the mediocre experience of your life that you may be living now, would you really be showing up in a great way? Of course not. You would continue to do the things that you've always been doing, whatever they are. And most people, and this of course is no ding on any one person, unfortunately, it's just how human life is sometimes. Most people are doing just enough to get by. They are struggling just to get by. And I'm not talking just in a financial sense. I'm talking about in their whole lives. They do just enough to keep the boss happy. They do just enough to keep their mates at home. They do just enough to keep their children at a decent enough level of behavior. But nobody is really rising to that call. Nobody is really rising to the occasion of greatness. Where can you be different? Greatness is about being different. It's about being that one out of all the other people around you who is choosing to go above and beyond, who is choosing to actually do more than the minimum, more than the basic, more than whatever the average thing is. And just by virtue of aspiring to greatness, by virtue of tapping into the greatness in your own life, then you won't be like the other people around you. And so that means that you may get a little friction in your life. People may not quite understand you. They may even make fun of you. They may ridicule you. They may question what you're doing. And in fact, they may think, who is she to try to be so much better? Who is he to try to stand out? Who do they think they are? And the answer to that is that you think you are a person who is walking in your greatness. That's who you are. And if you're answering that call for greatness in your own life, then your life will be transformed. When you start operating at a higher level, when you start looking to see, where can I be better in my life? Where can I be better in my marriage? How can I be a great mate? Where can I be better in my work? How can I truly show greatness in this work? How can I show greatness using the talent or the skill or the message or the expertise or the big idea that life has given me? How can I be great as a parent? How can I be great in my health? What do I need to do now to become healthier, to become fitter, to become that best expression of my physical self even? When you start looking at your life in that way and you start making changes so that you operate at that higher level, then you will find that more opportunities open up to you. You will find a greater opportunity for joyfulness, for gratitude in your life, and ultimately you will find that you are contributing more to the world as you walk in this greatness, because the thing about greatness is that the more you aspire to greatness in your own life, the greater impact you have in the world out there, because you're not behaving as everyone else is. You're not just taking. You're also a giver. You are creating. You are sharing. Because in greatness, we know that there is service. Greatness is about service. And so as you aspire to a higher level of yourself, as you aspire to showing up at your best, then you will naturally be serving more. You will naturally be giving more. And you'll naturally be making more of an impact in your life and in the lives of those around you. So if you've been wondering, what is all this talk about greatness? What does she mean? Why is she calling us to greatness? Isn't that something about a big ego? Isn't it something about grandiosity? Isn't that something about being a braggart? No. Greatness is the natural calling in your life for you to show up and at that higher level, at that best level. It's for you to live a bigger, better, bolder life so that you can be more joyful, so that you can make more of a contribution, and that you can touch lives in a bigger, better, bolder way. Your greatness may be the only spiritual message some people ever see. They may see that you are performing at a higher level, that you are being kinder, that you are being more loving in the world, that you are truly showing what's on the inside of you. That may be the message you're sharing with them. That may be the spiritual message you're sharing, and that may be the way that you can witness to them, the way you can minister to them, and ultimately the way you can contribute to the world. So your greatness is a spiritual calling. It is calling you to show what is truly on the inside of you, to show that in the outer world, to show who you truly are, who you feel called to be, who you feel compelled to be, who you feel purposed to be. That's your spiritual calling. That's your greatness. So consider how you can show up in greatness today. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your life? How can you go above the minimum, above the basic, above the mediocre, above the average, above the ordinary, and do something great? Your life calls you to do that. God calls you to do that. And greatness is a spiritual calling. Greatness is not counter to, it's not opposite of, it's not contradictory to any true spiritual path, because greatness itself is a spiritual path. It's about looking deep inside and letting your spiritual self show up in the outer world. It's about letting your heart show up in the outer world. It's about letting your true self show up. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to go to iTunes and subscribe. And tell a friend too, so they can live and breathe their greatness. And for more free information, inspiration, and ideas, be sure to go to monicacartertagore.com/greatness-newsletter and join the newsletter so that you get all of my best strategies, ideas, and information on freeing your greatness. In fact, go there now and you can get the Greatness Starter Collection, which is 3 free resources to inspire and inform you on your path to greatness. You have it in you? Go on. Set your greatness on fire.